Welcome back to Fantasy Football. Today, it's time to take an early look at the Week 11 waiver wire. We're going to spend a lot of time on Tuesday going position by position, but just want to give you a little snapshot about some of the players that could be difference makers for you going into what's going to start the stretch run to the fantasy playoffs. We'll start with the quarterbacks, and it's now time to be picking up Deshaun Watson. If you haven't done so already, he's able to practice with the team, able to return in Week 13, could be a difference-making fantasy option. But the guy on this list who came back from injury, Heath, and played well, over 20 fantasy points again, he just finds a way to get it done. Ryan Tannehill against Green Bay Thursday night. Could he be a streamer?
He could be a streamer because we have 4 starting quarterbacks basically on a bye this week, and we've just talked about
might have 6
guys.
with
right.
McCoy, if Kyler can't play and Stafford, he's been in that starting conversation.
Right, and we just talked about some guys that are normally top 12 quarterbacks we don't necessarily want to start. And listen, we had Aaron Rodgers like 18 or 19 this week. He's going to be ahead of Ryan Tannehill for me, but they'll both be in that streaming conversation.
Look, he just produces. It doesn't matter how it happens. This week was Nick Westbrook-Akina getting him 2 touchdowns, so he finds a way to get it done. Running back waiver wire, Elijah Mitchell, he's just above the threshold, but you know what happens. He's an injury away from being a superstar, and he looked pretty good and back up behind Christian McCaffrey. Jalen Warren, good spot for him. But Adam, I want to ask you about Kieran Williams because this Rams team needs some semblance of a spark. He had 3 catches in his debut, or first game since week 1, coming back from the injury. What's your interest level in picking him up?
If Cooper Kupp is out, I think he's interesting in a PPR perspective, but I'd still prefer Jerick McKinnon over him. And they can't run the ball. They're still stuck with Akers and Henderson. I thought you should pick up Kyren Williams just in case they gave him the carries, but it seems like they just consider him a third down back, so I have pretty little interest in Kyren Williams.
To be fair, the other 2 guys got 6 carries apiece, so it's not like anybody's running away with the job, so maybe he gets an opportunity this week. The receivers, this is going to be the fun list to talk about when we get to Tuesday. There are a lot of interesting names on here. We've talked about a couple of them already in terms of Kadarius Toney. Darius Slayton had a big play, but might be the Giants' best receiver. Paris Campbell, we told you, is in a good spot. Nico Collins, Heath said he was considering him the best receiver for the Texans moving forward. I agree. I want to ask you about Donovan Peoples-Jones, Heath, because it's another productive game. He's just not finding the end zone, but they got a lot of road games left, and Amari Cooper had another bad game on the road and 9 targets for Peoples-Jones. Is he going to be somebody that's consistently in the number 3 receiver range?
I think he could be better than that because we're not just a couple of weeks away from Deshaun Watson possibly coming back.
True.
And that might be a good way to start finding the end zone is playing with a quarterback like that. So yeah, I think there's a possibility we could see in the fantasy playoffs Cooper during home games and both of them during road games as top 24 wide receivers.
We told you Christian Watson's going to be very added. Adam, what's your interest level in Nick Westbrook-Akina, knowing that he plays on a team that just doesn't have a lot of consistent playmakers at the position?
It's 0, and if you wouldn't mind, could I talk about Paris Campbell real quick because
Sure.
I'm not picking up Nick Westbrook-Akina. Yeah, Paris Campbell is a guy I'm only looking at in full PPR, but he has 18 or more PPR fantasy points in the last 3 games he's played with Matt Ryan, who still threw the ball extremely short. So Campbell, that's with a touchdown in each game. I would expect him to be about 10 to 12 PPR fantasy points on a weekly basis. That is a number 3 wide receiver in full PPR. He might actually, believe it or not, have the highest floor of any player on this list. Not even close to the highest ceiling, but he's got a high floor.
You say only, I know you mentioned the touchdowns, but he is scoring, so it might not just be PPR. It might be the fact that he's just a pretty good player and finally staying healthy. That could be something fun to watch for the rest of the season. Tight end waiver wire, we're hoping that David Njoku does return soon. He's got the most upside maybe between him and Cole Kmet. But Heath, I want to ask you because you keep mentioning this guy, and we know Darren Waller's at least 3 more games away from returning. Foster did score a touchdown. Does he have some maybe now staying power if Derek Carr can continue getting the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in that high-end number 2 range, probably not too far from where Greg Dulcich is going to be now after his disastrous week. It has been pretty bad efficiency in terms of turning targets into yards. The touchdown was encouraging, and he has at least 4 targets in every game. He has that 9-target spike game. I don't mind it at all. And listen, Hunter Renfro's not going to be back anytime soon. Darren Waller's not going to be back anytime soon. There's a little extended window here.
Yep, so just keep an eye on some of these injuries. The big one, though, would be Mark Andrews. If he is out, Isaiah likely did score in his last game. Clearly, he would be very, very popular taking on the Panthers this week, again, if Andrews cannot go.